You're staring at a shocking repair bill thinking, but it's a Honda. Let's take a look at the problems Honda owners have faced with these engines and what new issues might show up next. Number 5. 1.6-liter D16Y7. Honda's 1.6-liter D16Y7 engine was meant to be a winner, simple, fuel-efficient, and budget-friendly. Fans thought it would live up to Honda's strong reputation for reliability. But sadly, behind its small 106 GP and 103 pound-feet of torque, a bunch of problems started showing up much sooner than expected. One forum user, Mr. Juice, shared his frustration. He replaced the head gasket twice, then even swapped in a brand new engine. And guess what? That one blew too. Coolant kept disappearing, white smoke came out after shutting off the car, and the engine kept misfiring, with O2 sensor problems popping up again and again. Another sage on the thread insisted, if you aren't resurfacing the head when you change the gasket, you're just throwing money away. Yet even doing things right didn't help. Some contributors warned of cracked cylinder liners or warped heads hidden beneath the rebuilt engine. The D16Y7 engine has a big weakness: head gaskets and timing belt tensioners. Both are known problem creators. If the tensioner fails, the timing belt can slip, and that can seriously damage the engine. And the head bolts? They're the kind you should only use once. Many experienced users on forums warn, don't try to save money by reusing them. Always go with new ones. Even if the big problems didn't show up, there were still smaller annoying ones, like oil leaking from the valve cover and head gaskets, and the engine using up too much oil. Common problems included rough idling, slow throttle response, frequent misfires, and fuel economy getting worse over time. And let's talk warranty time bombs. Many reports indicate head gasket failure well before the usual 3-year, 36,000-mile window. That meant a lengthy phone call to Honda's reputation. I thought Hondas were supposed to last forever. I babied this car, but the head gasket blew at 80,000 kilometers. I was devastated. Others also expressed similar disappointment. I trusted it, but when it started burning oil, I kept topping it up. Spent more on repairs than the car was worth. The repair costs felt like a bad joke. One person shared how he paid around $2,300 for a rebuilt engine that only came with a 3-month warranty. He even joked about it, saying it felt more like a gamble than a fix. If it died 4 months in, I'd be screaming bloody murder. Honestly, even scratch cards give better odds. So if someone describes the D16Y7 as reliable, expect others to join in. You resurface the head after the gasket blew? Or maybe it's a warped head or cracked sleeve. These stories sound like a horror series. Someone rebuilt the engine, but it blew another gasket. Another person got a brand new engine, but the same problems came back. Coolant keeps vanishing with no leaks, white smoke won't stop, the engine misfires again and again, and it keeps giving bad O2 sensor codes. The D16Y7 was supposed to be a budget-friendly hero, but it turned out more like a high-maintenance roommate. Number 4. L15B. At first glance, the Honda L15B engine looked like a certified winner. A 1.5-liter turbo inline-4, delivering anywhere from 130 to 205 GP and about 114 to 192 pound-feet torque. What really damaged the L15's reputation was fuel mixing with the engine oil, something called oil dilution. Instead of staying clean and protecting the engine, the oil got thinned out by raw gasoline, making it less effective. This caused early wear, strange engine noises, weaker performance, and in the worst cases, total engine failure. Honda tried to fix it with software updates and service campaigns, but many owners still had problems with the 2019 to 2021 models. Some Reddit mechanics said they replaced 2 head gaskets a day on these engines, hinting that the problem was widespread. But not everyone agreed. Some owners said their engines ran perfectly with no signs of oil dilution. Still, many noticed trouble early, especially if they only drove short distances or in cold weather. In those cases, the engine didn't get warm enough, letting fuel slip past the piston rings and mix with the oil in the crankcase. Beyond oil messes, the little turbocharger itself had breakdowns. Direct injection meant intake valve carbon buildup was very high, turning misfires, rough idles, and fuel inefficiencies into menu defaults after 6,100 miles. Spark plug failures entered the mix too. Carbon and turbo stress chewed up plugs faster than normal. The consensus from veteran forums: expect to replace spark plugs every 30,000 miles, and consider walnut blasting intake valves occasionally to keep things tidy. What did Honda say? They claimed the engine was built to last hundreds of thousands of miles. But when complaints started pouring in, Honda responded with quick fixes. In reality, owners were told to check for any service bulletins or software updates, change the oil every 5,000 to 7,500 miles, and clean the valves now and then. A guy named Leothanum shared his experience. The only thing I can add to these comments is avoid idling while cold. Don't fill your oil all the way when you do a change to give wiggle room for the dilution. Consider oil changes earlier than normal, or just some partial or full drain and fills in between changes. Sounds like his oil change schedule is tighter than a Honda engineer's deadline. What a sad story, right? Originally marketed as an ultra-efficient modern power plant, the L15 Turbo often turned into an oil-thirsty, carbon-clogged, turbo-failing headache. Instead of saving money, it casually emptied pockets through repairs, especially around head gaskets, turbos, plugs, and rebuilds. Short trips, cold starts, and aggressive driving accelerated the downfall. Number 3, 3.5-liter V6 J35Y6. The J35Y6, a 3.5-liter V6 from Honda, produces around 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, and powers big family carriers like the Pilot, Ridgeline, and Passport. With Honda's fancy IV-Tech system and variable cylinder management, it promises performance and fuel savings. This engine was built for smooth ride, smart tech, solid power, so what could go wrong? Well, a lot apparently. Let's start with the oil consumption. Or should we say, the disappearance act. Owners on Reddit and forums have shared worrying stories of pulling out their dipsticks only to find them dry, way before the next oil change. One even joked, "Does it drink oil for breakfast?" People reported losing quarts of oil within a few thousand miles. Not only is that expensive, but dangerously low oil can damage your engine before you even realize what's happening. And that VCM system? Yeah, it's become the villain in many owners' stories. Designed to shut off cylinders to save gas, in real life it often just causes jerky shifts, vibrations, and misfires. One owner said it felt like their car was having a breakdown most of the time. Another said they had to install a VCM disabler just to make the car drive like, well, a car again. Then comes the timing belt problem. Unlike a chain, this belt needs to be changed around every 100,000 miles. But for some unlucky owners, it broke much earlier than that. NRK Diesel Roadside started a thread after his engine suddenly stopped working without warning. When he checked underneath the vehicle, he saw that a few of the cylinder walls were cracked. Not just one, a couple of them. It seems like his engine quietly blew itself apart from the inside. The poor guy's now trying to make it right. Now the real question is, should he stick with another J35Y6 block, or can he swap in an older J35? Because let's face it, the J35Y6 isn't exactly lining up in junkyards like used Civics. Finding one is very hard. You'd think Honda had responded suddenly, but instead they quietly logged 1,450 warranty claims over 9 years. That's a lot of quiet engine replacements. They admitted a 1% failure rate. Doesn't sound like much until your car is part of that 1%. And hey, it's always someone else, until it's you. Real owners haven't held back. One TLX driver wrote, his engine just stalled in the middle of the highway and had to be towed. Another swore they changed oil like clockwork, yet the engine still failed at under 60,000 miles. Poor guy. Some people think regular oil changes help, but others disagree. Number 2, 1.8-liter R18 A1. The Honda R18A1 is a 1.8-liter SOHC IV-Tech inline-4 engine used in 2006 to 2011 Civic models. It makes about 139 horsepower at 6,300 revolutions per minute and 128 pound-feet of torque at 4,300 revolutions per minute. Honda engineers issued a technical bulletin for 2006 to 2008 Civics and even extended the engine block warranty to 10 years after reports of cast aluminum block cracks. Service records show the crack usually forms near the crankcase ventilation system, letting coolant slowly mix into the oil. And when coolant contaminates the engine oil, it leads to overheating or straight-up catastrophic engine failure. Some experts now call it a fundamental design flaw in North American R18A1 blocks. Owners often report coolant leaks and overheating as the first sign. But here's the scary part. There's usually no check engine light or warning. The car just stalls or dies out of nowhere. And then there's poor P. Morrison _2018_173915. He was driving his 2007 Honda Civic when the engine block cracked, just like that. Turns out, it wasn't bad luck. It's a known issue with Civics built in North America. Some folks call it a casting defect. Now Morrison's stuck wondering, should he throw in a new engine, buy a different car, or just sit there staring at his broken Civic, asking the universe why? The cost and stress of fixing these engines? It's a full-blown nightmare. Even with Honda's so-called extended warranty, many owners still got slammed with huge bills. One 2007 Civic owner named Lenny from Silver Spring, Maryland, noticed coolant pooling on his garage floor. Diagnosis: cracked block. Honda eventually offered him a short block rebuild, but only after he paid a $2,700 deductible out of pocket. The total repair? Nearly $10,000. Other owners shared similar horror stories: coolant vanishing with no explanation, engines failing before even hitting 100,000 miles, and that extended warranty feeling more like extended misery. And so enters one of the most dramatic engines in Honda's history, not for how it performs, but for how it quietly breaks hearts and bank accounts. Number 1. 1.5-liter turbo 1.4L15B7. The L15B7 is Honda's 1.5-liter turbocharged inline-4 engine, used in 10th-gen Civics and also in some CR-Vs and Accords. In stock form, it makes roughly 174 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, already more than many older 2.4-liter, naturally aspirated Hondas. And in the sportier Civic Si, that jumps to about 205 horsepower and 190 pound-feet. So, on paper, it delivers solid power for a small engine. However, many owners have found that this new turbo engine comes with headaches. The most common complaint? Fuel dilution in the oil, an issue we've already seen in other Honda engines. This happens because the engine runs at relatively low temperatures and uses direct injection. Unburned gasoline can slip past the piston rings and into the crankcase, raising the oil level and thinning it out. Other issues include carbon buildup on the intake valves, a common side effect of direct injection. If you frequently make short trips in cold weather, carbon deposits can build up on the back of the valves after just 30,000 to 40,000 miles. This can reduce power and require cleaning. In fact, the rash of complaints even led to a class action lawsuit for 2018 to 2021 Civics, Accords, and CR-Vs with this engine, claiming it causes excessive oil dilution and can lead to catastrophic engine failure. Real customer stories paint a clear picture. One driver of a nearly new 2018 CR-V said they changed the oil 4 times by just 9,000 miles because gas was mixing with the oil, and sometimes saw the dipstick reading overfilled. Another unlucky owner shared his experience that sounded more like a bad sitcom than car ownership. He bought a brand new 2018 Honda CR-V in March, thinking it was a reliable deal. But by just 9,000 miles, he'd already changed the oil 4 times because of fuel contamination. Every time he checked the dipstick, it smelled like a gas station. To make things worse, his dashboard warning lights started flashing randomly on 3 different occasions. What's next? He didn't say, but it's safe to assume he wasn't thrilled. One more story came from a Reddit user who sounded genuinely anxious. He spent $27,000 on a new car, hoping it would last 8 to 10 years without major issues. But after reading about oil dilution, early engine wear, stalling, and even complete engine failures, he's thinking twice. He called himself a worry freak, but honestly, who wouldn't be? Now he's considering paying off the loan and selling the car before the warranty expires just to avoid a potential financial time bomb. Sounds like he's just trying to stay one step ahead. Now comes the most important question. Why does reliability matter? Nobody buys a car hoping for engine trouble. One unexpected breakdown or major repair can cost you thousands. An engine rebuild or replacement isn't pocket change. A reliable engine, on the other hand, saves you stress and serious cash. Fewer surprise visits to the shop means more time on the road and peace of mind behind the wheel. So now you know, not all Honda engines are as bulletproof as they seem. From early breakdowns to costly repairs, a lot of owners feel stuck and frustrated. Are you ready to protect yourself before it's too late? Hit that subscribe button and stay updated on the car issues that could save you thousands.